Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about Nintendo Switch, Bayonetta, Google, Anbernic, and more, I think. Not more, that's it. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Anbernic's upcoming RG353M, the metal version of the RG353. It features an RK3566 chip, and we have talked about this one a little bit in the past, but we've got a couple new updates. One, it will be released in blue, and the second one here has to deal with the joysticks. It appears that the RG353M will be receiving Hall Effect joysticks. Those are the upgraded electromagnetic joysticks that don't experience stick drift. If you are curious about the 353M and wanted to learn more, I'll leave a link to this website in the description below. It is entirely in Chinese, but sometimes Google Translate comes in handy. Next up, we're talking about Bayonetta 3 and possibly the end to this whole voice actor saga. It all started out when Helena Taylor, the previous voice of Bayonetta for Bayonetta 1 and 2, called out Platinum Games for offering her too little to play the role of Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3. Apparently they offered her about $4,000 for the role, and she felt that that wasn't enough, and that was severely underpaying her, and a lot of people thought the same thing. So after that bombshell of an accusation, it appears that Platinum Game actually offered Helena Taylor between $3,000 and $4,000 per session for at least 5 sessions, which equals $15,000 to $20,000 total. And fast forward to today, and Helena Taylor confirmed that she was offered $10,000 initially for the role, with $5,000 added in after. So $15,000 overall, which kind of matches what they said Platinum Games offered. In my opinion, $15,000 really isn't a whole lot to voice Bayonetta, but it's a lot more than she initially made for the first Bayonetta, which was $3,000 total. So overall here, as I've said a few times before, I still don't know what to make of this entire situation. Based on what I've read, I don't think voice actors get paid near enough for what they do. But I also think this whole thing could have been handled a heck of a lot better. What I do know though is that it's not always the best thing to jump to conclusions. Let me know your thoughts about this whole situation in the comments below. But moving on from all of that, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Skyline, and the early access version of Skyline Edge, just got a brand new release. Here is Skyrim up and running. It's playing at about 30 to 40 frames per second, and things are actually rendering in, and Whiterun is, well, it's looking okay. This is on a Poco F3 with a Snapdragon 870. Here's Mario Tennis Aces up and running and in-game at just over 40 frames per second. If anyone was wondering, Skyline can run Crisis. And if you wanted to see even more gameplay like Pokemon Let's Go Eevee up and running, I'll leave a link to Easy on the Eyes' YouTube channel in the description below. There's a lot of gameplay footage in here you might be interested in. Now, all of that footage is from Skyline Edge, which is the early access version only available to people who are financially supporting Skyline. If you're not paying for Skyline, and if you don't want to pay, all of these changes should be merged with the mainline build within 2 weeks. So once these changes go live, I'll definitely let you know. And if the Skyline team doesn't merge these, I have no issues calling them out on it. And speaking about early access and still talking about Nintendo Switch, next up we're talking about Yuzu, and the early access version of Yuzu just got an update you might be interested in. As of early access version 3048, Yuzu has implemented a new feature to allow Amiibos without Amiibo keys. However, games that require Amiibo decryption such as Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Splatoon, and Shovel Knight still require Amiibo keys to be fully functional. To gain access to the early access builds of Yuzu, you do have to be a financial supporter of them as well, and if you're not, those changes should be merged with the mainline version sooner or later, hopefully within 2 weeks. As soon as I know more about that mainline version update, you'll know more. Next up, we're still talking about Switch emulation, but we're back on Android with one emulator that seems to borrow a lot of code from a lot of sources. We're talking about EggNS, and there's some new updates that I was kind of surprised to hear. So apparently Derek Turtlerow has been working on decompiling the EggNS APK and has found some, I would argue, very controversial things in there. They said they have found some RetroArch cores in there, Dolphin and copyrighted system firmware files, so GameCube and Wii. A bunch of files and a library for voice recognition, MAME for Droid files in there. And this one's interesting, libraries for HTTP traffic, although we don't exactly know what that one is yet. This is very odd. They are looking into the code yet, and once they do, I'm curious to see what they're going to find. And speaking about finding stuff, last up here we're quickly talking about Google Drive. If you've got some questionable files on Google Drive, well, Google might find them and take them away from you. So this is really just more of a PSA or a friendly heads up. If you put files in Google Drive, there's a chance that Google might review them and remove them if they find they violate their policies. Google Drive is not necessarily fully private. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a few things today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of them in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.